Welcome back to the Well podcast. I think that you are going to love this conversation today. We are going to talk with Kristy Hunston with Avoila Skincare. And Kristy is a person that has gone after her big, fat, scary dream. And that is something that I love to talk about. I love to encourage women to do, and very few do it. So thanks for being on, Kristy.
Thank you for having me, Kari.
Kristy and I know each other from a long, long time ago, and both are living the entrepreneur life now. Who would have thought,
I
right?
know, right? I think it was college. That's when we met. And I'm not even going to say how many years ago that was.
Exactly. Let's not even talk about it.
Yeah.
So tell us what you've been doing and what kind of brought you to this point to start your own skincare line. What were you doing? What does your family life look like? Where do you live?
Sure. So right now I live in Park City, Utah. I've been here since August of 2020, and my family and I moved here during the pandemic. We were one of those families that picked up and changed our lifestyle just to have a little bit of a better life, more space, more open space, and more outdoor activities. So that's what I'm doing now. I have a partner of 16 years and a 9-year-old son. And, prior to coming here, to how I started Voila and kind of what brought that about. So my partner Dave is an entrepreneur and has always been an entrepreneur since I've known him. And luckily he's been a successful entrepreneur, and I've been inspired by the freedom that he has had and the flexibility that he created in his life through the businesses that he has built. And he's built tech businesses. So he can pretty much work from anywhere in the world, which is amazing. When we met, I worked in advertising and I was in client services in New York City, working 18 hours a day, some days, always at the beck and call of my clients and of the higher ups within the agency. And when I was younger, especially living in New York, I really fed off of that energy. It was different every day. I was meeting great people. I got to go on commercial shoots and all of these things, and it was amazing. Fast forward to when I became a mother and still doing these things, and it just became overwhelming. And I'm sure many people know what that feels like, to have a career that is very time consuming, have a baby at home, and to try to have any kind of life for yourselves as a family. And it's really, really hard. And I think so many people talk about women trying to do it all or wanting to do it all. And I was one of those people who was trying, to do it all. And I think it just became too much for me. I just realized that uh, I don't want to live this life. I'm not fulfilled in my career anymore. I don't get to spend enough time with my family, and I certainly don't get to spend enough time for me. And that's when I realized I need to take some action to get out of this career and do something else.
Yeah, I think you hit on a couple things that I know that were a huge wake up call for me. Was just that idea of having freedom. I know that it's easy to say, and being an entrepreneur is hard work too. It is not all that it's cracked up to be. You never totally feel off because you're always thinking of the next thing and dreaming for the next thing. But having that freedom, especially when you have little people at home and you've had to experience dropping kids off and being gone all day and being really depleted when you get home, having time freedom and also that freedom to go anywhere at any time is such a draw for people. And not to say that it's easy, it definitely is not. But what did you just mentioned like taking care of yourself. How is there really any time for self-care when you're maintaining that kind of lifestyle?
There really isn't. And, I was experiencing health issues then that I didn't quite realize what the cause was. So after I had my son, I got pregnant a couple more times, and I never was able to maintain a pregnancy. And I just thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm getting older. But when I look back and reflect, and I've done this for several years now, I realize I put too much stress on my body. And stress isn't good for our bodies, as we all know, not good for our mental health either. And so I realized, this isn't right for me. You try to squeeze in a yoga class, but when you try to squeeze in a yoga class when you're
Yeah.
already depleted, it's just doesn't work. Or a hike, or coffee with a girlfriend, all of those things I see as important self-care for me. Those are the things I like to do. But if you're already depleted, there's no way that those things can bring you back to even or to 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like hurrying up and doing yoga, right?
Right.
That defeats
Yes.
the purpose.
Yes.
Um, so out of all of the businesses that you could start, walk us through that. How did you pick skincare? Did you pick skincare, or did it pick you? I often say that
Yeah.
essential oils picked me. I did not pick them. I did not anticipate starting a natural wellness business. I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
Um, but how did it happen for you?
So there's a couple of things that went into it. When I decided I wanted to leave my career, I tried to spend time thinking about what is next. And that is next to impossible to say, okay, I'm going to dream about this when you're already, to the max with work and family life. I was trying though. I was trying to be inspired. I went to a conference that Goop put on. I lived in Los Angeles at the time and
Okay.
was very fortunate to be surrounded by like-minded women, entrepreneurs. So I found that inspiring. And that conference showed me that I can go out and do anything, even though of course that. People tell you that, but it just gave me the confidence that I could leave my job and go do something else. So I spoke a moment ago about fertility issues, health issues. I started exploring natural wellness at that time
Mhm.
through a partnership with a naturopath, and doing more holistic medicine type things. And skincare is a big part of your overall wellness. And so I changed everything I put on my body. Um, and I felt like, okay, this is one thing that I am passionate about. Like, I want other people to know how important it is to use clean, non toxic products. The L'Oreals of the world, the Revlons of the world aren't going to tell you that their products are not good for you. Same with a lot of the products that you buy at a department store, right? They just want you to buy and have these dreams of better skin, not
Well,
necessarily better self, you
when we
know?
talk about the years that we were in college, we won't say those years, but what was so popular then, right, was a lot of fragrance, Bed Bath and Beyond, or sorry, Bath and Body Works, all of these fragrance. And we always knew from fourth grade science that our skin was our largest organ. But I think until I started having some reactions to things, just headaches from perfumes, and was really affected by what I put on my skin, I don't think that it would have ever occurred to me, especially when you bring home that baby and you think about what you're going to put on them, right? Isn't that part of what changes
Exactly.
everything? You're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, all the food that I give this little person, everything that I put on their skin is going right in them.
Yes, absolutely. So, I made that transition for myself and started to do those things for the household too, right? Because not only is it important for us, but we want to teach others in the household how to take care of themselves and use the right products. So, I was working in advertising, as I had mentioned before, and I was on the phone with my now business partner, who was a creative director at the agency that we worked at together. And we were just talking about skincare. And I had talked about how I transitioned all of my products. And she was talking about an eczema flare that she had. And it was on her face and it was very troublesome. And nothing would calm her skin. She tried every product that she possibly could, decided, okay, I've had enough, putting it all in the trash and going to simplify what I'm doing. And she started using organic avocado oil on her face where she
Mhm.
had the eczema flare. And after a few days, she noticed that it started to heal. So she was telling me the story and the light bulb went off. And we decided, like, let's explore if there are products out there that really feature organic avocado oil that we would be excited to buy, right? You'd see it on the shelf and you're like,
Yeah.
that product is for me.
Mhm.
And, I'm going to give that a shot. And we couldn't find anything out there. And this was in 2017, so a few years ago. And so what we both were on the search for something else to do. And so that's how we got into skincare. We decided we were going to create a product that was plant-based, featuring organic avocado oil that we would be excited to use and proud of to create.
Oh,
And so
I
that's
love
how
that.
Avoila was
And
born. Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. And partnering with another woman and coming together like that. That's amazing. I love that.
And yeah, it is amazing. And it helped both of us transition to the next phases of our careers. And so it really was a jumping off point for both of us, which is really cool.
Hmm. So what does life look like now? You start your own. I mean, I sell a product, but I don't have to manufacture it. I don't have to stock it. I don't have to do any of that. So is it less work, more work? Do you have time for self-care now?
It's less work than working in a corporate environment because we ultimately have a say in how much we work. We define our goals, we keep track of the tasks at hand, and we are ultimately responsible for the work on our plates, and we go off and do it. So, yes, could I be working 24 hours a day? Absolutely. Do I? No, because what was most important to me is creating that balance. So I feel like I am supporting myself, able to live a joyful life with my family, and do something that I love. It has absolutely been harder than I ever imagined, but through the difficulty, we've both grown from it and have learned so much. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the successes you guys have had? What are some of the challenges? Your favorite parts?
So building the product was one of my favorite parts because it's an open blank slate, right? So we went into doing some research on ingredients, and that was really fun to really explore the benefits of different plants because everything in our product is plant based. And so that was really neat. And then we worked with a chemist to build out the product. And when we got the first sample, we were immediately in love with the texture and the feel of the product. So it was a huge win and, kind of right away. The one thing we didn't love was the scent. And so that's when we turned to essential oils, which I know you're really familiar with.
Yeah.
And they really took our product to the next level because everyone talks about the beautiful scent of the product. And so that was a real win for us. So the product development was a huge success. We get nothing but positive reviews on the product and how it makes women feel and how it improves their skin. I think one of the challenges has been that no one can do the work as well as you can. So, there are, as you know, being an entrepreneur, there are so many pieces and parts to the business, everywhere from finance to product development to marketing. And within marketing, we know that there's like at least 5 different channels that you have to be, employing at any given time. So we would farm out some of that work. We would, hire consultants that we knew were experts in their space. And a lot of times we were disappointed in the output
Mhm.
because while they care about their business and the service that they're providing, It's just not the same as when
Not
a
their baby.
founder
Yeah.
exactly, when a founder touches it, it's going to be almost perfect. That doesn't mean it works though, right? And so, that's where our struggles have been is post-launch. We launched in February of 2020.
Oh, oh my gosh.
If I would have known what was going to happen right after,
Oh,
we might have held on a little bit more just because we put so much into marketing, not only time, but money. I mean, marketing is our biggest, line item in our budget. And so some of the things that we've tried haven't worked, and we've spent a lot of money on social marketing, for example. And it's frustrating, when you see that it doesn't work. So that's been one of our biggest challenges is, finding the right marketing channels that will help drive, our product.
yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, none of us, who would have thought, right, that everything was going to happen in the world, and then you added a move on top of that, so you
Yes.
have you have just jumped out of the plane, girl.
Yeah, and homeschool, right? Like we all experienced that, and when that happened, I had a real heart to heart with my business partner, Grace, and I said, I don't think I'm going to have time right now to really give to Avoila because I'm spent, right? I am emotionally drained. I'm trying to keep my 9-year-old busy when the beaches aren't open and all of these things, and so
Yeah.
and that's the great thing about having your own business is like you can make those decisions and be okay with it, right? Like you just accept life's challenges and then you move on when you can move on.
Yeah. Well, I think that that is one of my, I was a teacher, I was an education major and only taught for 1 year before I had kids. And definitely that freedom of being home with them was the biggest draw to not teach,
Yeah.
but also just that unlimited income potential that I can push in seasons, that I can relent in seasons, that I can pivot, like I have added like coaching and added the well and added the podcast. And I love that you can always be changing. But what would you say to someone that is sitting at corporate right now or is even really successful, but is just not fulfilled in any way? Like, what would you tell when you started to have those pangs of like, this is just not fulfilling me? Like, what do you wish that somebody would have said to you? Or maybe they did say that to you at that Goop conference, but what would you say to somebody who really, really wants to jump, but it's scary. It is, I call it a big, fat, scary dream because it's big and fat and hairy and scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I would suggest that you find a coach. Honestly, I didn't find a coach at that time. I probably didn't feel like I had time to spend, an hour a week or more with somebody to try to work through what it is I was really passionate about or looking, to gain out of, whatever it is that I built. But I have done coaching since, and I find that just having somebody to run ideas by and to have them challenge you and help you really understand like what is the block, what is the fear, what is driving that fear, and help you work through it, I think is so helpful. And I would recommend anybody go the path of coaching. And it doesn't have to be super time consuming or that expensive necessarily, but having somebody to help you really figure out what you want to do next is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having somebody to get their eyes on when you have a passion project or a business that's product based or service based, you're so used to being in it. You look at it so long, you can't see it with those fresh eyes. Oddly enough, that's why I'm in Phoenix right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree. And
And I think the other thing I would say, Kari, is that, we only live once and life can be really short. And so, we deserve more than being in an unfulfilled job. And when you think about that and realize that you deserve to be happy in
Mhm.
anything that you're doing, you have to let go of that old stuff, and it's so hard. Like I was doing great in my job and my career. Like I'd been doing it for 20 years. Like I was high up on the ladder and, I could have started my own agency if I wanted. Clients would have, come with me. That would have been amazing. But I just didn't love the work anymore. And so I knew I had to leave that behind. And it's hard when you are on your own and you're no longer getting the praise from colleagues or clients, or you're getting that raise or a bonus because you did a good job. When you're an entrepreneur, you're not getting those things. And it was hard for me for the first at least year to realize that. And I was like, you know what? This is a learning opportunity. I am the one responsible for how I feel about myself, not my clients or my colleagues or that raise, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's a huge thing to kind of evolve to think about myself.
Hmm. Well, and I think that anytime somebody's going to go out and do something too, everything in their life experience, all of your marketing, all of everything that you had done prepared you for this. It wasn't like it was a waste or it was something that you're never going to use. I'm sure that you use the history of what you've been good at a lot in your business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, while this business is very different, there are things that I've been able to take from that, working with the team, being a leader, writing content. I was in advertising. So, you kind of have a feel for how to write to, a particular audience. So it's
Yeah.
definitely been beneficial.
Well, good for you. And thank you for being an inspiration and just for going after it. I also think of the move. That's no little thing either to move, especially in times where our whole world has felt a little bit turned upside down, to just say, you know what, this isn't working. We want to be more outside. We want to really design that life that you love. It's so cliche, but I think it's the most powerful thing that we can do, to be thinking of ourselves as the designer of our life, rather than, oh, I hate my job, but oh well, it pays the bills, or I hate this weather, but all my family lives here, so I'm not going to move. I hear that so much. And every time that I'm a Florida girl, like through and through now, even though I was raised in the Midwest, and every time I'm at the beach, I just think like, this is where I need to be. It just like lights me up. And especially as an entrepreneur, you're very affected by your surroundings, you have to stay self-motivated and really take self-care and your personal development so seriously. And so good for you for just going for it.
Thank you. It is hard. It is not easy to move. But I believe strongly that if you're not happy in your situation, like you have the power to make a difference, to change, what's going on in your life. And like you said, to design, the ideal life for you. We've been here for a year and a half, and my partner's already talking about the next place, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm pretty happy here in Park City. We haven't had the best ski season, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. And, we have the spring and summer to look forward to, but I love the outdoors. And I think growing up in a small town in the Midwest, I feel like this has kind of brought me back to those roots, because I am ultimately in a small town.
Yeah.
And after being in a small town for a little while and coming from the big cities, it's calming and I love it.
Yeah, I really like it there. So doTERRA is based in just south of you. So
Yes.
a leader and I were there early a couple years ago and did some really fun hikes up by Park City. It's so beautiful. I can't imagine in the winter.
Yeah.
So pretty. So tell our listeners where they can connect with you, where they can find Avoila, and to follow you, and tell us all the places.
Great. So our website is avoila.com, and I'm sure there will be something in the notes
Yeah, I'll
where they
put it
can
all
see
in
the
the show notes.
spelling.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, we're on social. So Instagram and Facebook is Avoila Skincare. You can find me also at Kristy Hunston. So happy to connect with anybody that has questions about my experience. If there's any interest in skincare, creating a brand, I'm happy to talk to any of your listeners about that stuff because I love talking about it and I find it to be really interesting. And I want to help other people do the things that they love, right? So if that means talking to somebody about how I've gotten here, I'm happy to do that. So right now we sell Avoila mostly on our website. There are a couple of small boutiques in Park City that carry it as well, but you
Cool.
can mostly find it on our website.
Good. And what does the future look like for Avoila? Will you be adding more products or trying to get into more stores? What is kind of in the future?
So we hope to be adding more products for sure. When we originally formulated our face oil, which is our first product, we also formulated a mask and a cleansing balm. And our hope was to launch those pretty soon after we launched the face oil. But the manufacturing is very expensive because we're using high quality ingredients. So rather than launching them so soon after the face oil, we've held on to those formulations in the hopes that we could put all of our attention on one product and then in the future launch those. So I don't think it'll be 2022 at this point, but I imagine early 23 we'll have at least one other product out on the market. Things take time to manufacture, so that's why I'm thinking 23. I'm not sure if we're going to do a big push in retail. Honestly, I want to be successful in e-commerce, and so that's where we're spending all of our attention and our marketing dollars right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I am a big proponent of voting with your dollars, being careful about everything that you put on your skin, but also giving people your money that are supplying not only natural products, but products that really help small business owners. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you for having me, Kari.
All
This was
right. Have
fun.
a